So it's a symmetrical scale, aesthetic that it has, you know. He's sitting down somewhere with his coffee and his cigarette and he's just jamming away to himself. And I really like that. It's not...
Saudara, selamat jumpa kembali dalam acara kesayangan Anda.
Today we're going to be having another look at the Indonesian fingerstyle guitarist alif bata, and due to popular demand, the arrangement of his we're going to be looking at is Numb by Linkin Park. This one's in standard tuning, there's no capo, and uses standard chord shapes, so it's a lot more accessible. It's still going to be a bit technical to attempt, but I think a lot more accessible. Right, so let's get into it. Alright, so the first couple of bars you can see something that it's a motif throughout. It's the main hook of the song, which are those harmonics at the start. So what are harmonics? Let's check that out. A harmonic is an overtone in the harmonic series. And what that is when you play a note, so say we're going to use our open E string, you're not just hearing E, you're hearing a collection of notes that include overtones. And the way the string vibrates, they happen in places called nodes. And when we play our string and lightly touch off it at the 12th fret, that's an octave above the fundamental. So we've got our E, and then an octave above E. So you only ever lightly touch the string. You can even release an old still ring. But if I continue to gently press the string, so I'm not pressing it down on the frets, I'm just touching off it lightly, and continue to play while sliding up the neck, so you can hear all the different notes that are occurring within there, and they're all happening when we play our open E, and it happens when we play any string. Now the harmonics are easier to get to ring out on thicker strings because there's just more mass behind them and it's a lot easier to make them happen. The thumb, and he's lightly touching with his index finger. If you can see that there, just ever so slightly touching and using his thumb behind it to pick. And he can repeat that because he knows where his octaves are. So that's a G, which is 2 octaves above the fundamental. So you've got a root, octave, second octave. And that is also where the 24th fret would be. And if you're using a Les Paul like this, most guitars will have the pole pieces of their pickups. They're those X's. Sliding thirds, really nice. There's that little bluesy, flourishy lick that we've seen in his arrangements of Kiss from a Rose, which I will link here, and he also used it in Sweet Child of Mine. So it's hold the note a little bit, a quick slide up and down, and then a pull off. So we go back and we hear that again. Very bluesy. So here what he's gone for is a B7 chord. Now the key of the song is G major, but the key of the song is also E minor, which is the relative minor. And the B7 is what's called a secondary dominant. So I don't want to get too heavy with music theory, but essentially a 7th chord, a dominant chord, wants to resolve to a 1 chord. So in the case of G major, the D7, the 5th chord of the key, wants to resolve to the G. So if you play a D7 chord and then play a G chord, it's called a perfect cadence. It feels like you've resolved the song. So he's using a secondary dominant, which is a B7, so it means it's borrowed from another key. So it's a B7, a dominant chord borrowed from another key, and that wants to resolve to the E minor. And what he's done here is he's used it to make a delayed resolution. So he plays the B7, and then he gets into a F sharp diminished lick, which we're going to have a look at, and then eventually comes to the E minor resolution, which makes the song have a really strong resolution. So there's that diminished arpeggio. It's all stacked minor thirds, and we're going to have a look at that on the tangent cam. In bars 63 and 64, Alip does a F sharp diminished arpeggio. So it's a diminished 7th arpeggio. So it's in F sharp. So we've got F sharp, we've got our flat 3, which is our A, we've got our flat 5, which is a C, and then we've got our diminished 7, which is an E flat. And that pattern moves up the neck by going root, up 3 frets. Then to play the next string, you go down a string and up a fret. Down a string, up a fret. Down a string and up a fret. So he's playing an arpeggio there. So diminished triad. And then he moves up 3 semitones again and comes down the same finger. So you can come down that exactly the same. So it's a symmetrical scale, but he comes down it, instead of going linearly, he goes. Now, the fingering of that is a little bit tricky, but again, like everything else, it just takes practice and time. So sit down with it and go slow. Now I know I'm using a pick and Alip is using his fingers, so it's whatever works for you, but if you are tackling this arrangement, it's probably going to be difficult for you to just pick up a plectrum for that part of the song. You probably have to do it with your fingers, which is what he does with his thumb and his index. And again, that just takes a bit of coordination and practice. And then to the E, really strong resolution. That 6th lick. I really enjoy the fact that you can hear the ambient sounds once he's finished playing, so you can hear the wind outside and children playing. It kind of adds to the rustic appeal and the kind of rustic aesthetic that it has. You know, he's sitting down somewhere, his coffee and his cigarette, and he's just jamming away to himself. And I really like that. It's not polished, it's not overly produced or anything. It's just a guy playing a guitar, and that really appeals to me. I like that, and it obviously appeals to quite a number of people as well, because his channel is huge and his songs are very popular.